Welcome to the Purpose Driven Mom Show, episode 483. Today, we have a behind the scenes for you on a brand new concept that I've been teaching and piloting in my membership, the Purpose Driven Mom Club, called the Trimester Planning Method. This was my very first time that I've actually taught it. So if you want to go over to the YouTube video, you'll get to see the video and the slides. There's a lot of stuff you can like screenshot. This is an informal call. We do it every Friday in my group where I teach something directly from the program live. So you can ask questions and things like that. So if you hear me talking to people, answering questions, that's what's going on there. You can check show notes at purposedrivenmom.com. So podcast 483. But I hope you go in with curiosity. I've had this aha this year about trimester planning and just realizing that quarterly planning works, but for us moms, we might need a different system. Again, go to the show notes at purposedrivenmom.com, so podcast 483, and enjoy. I had a big aha this year when I was planning. And we always plan in quarters, right? We think about these are the 4 quarters, this is what we're working with. But what I realized was holding me back was the quarters didn't feel true to me as a mom, right? I didn't feel like I had 4 quarters because of how summer, like September is part of this 1 quarter and like June is part of it. Was just like I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it was structured. And so on a call this past year, actually, like in real time, I can't remember which call it was. You probably go back and see it. I was like, wait, it's a trimester. And so I put some thoughts together to share it with you because here's the thing. Okay. Oh, wait. Oh, I was like, wait, I don't know why this I was in the wrong spot. So here's the thing. Instead of planning out your year goals and saying, I'm going to accomplish this by the end of the year, what we're going to do instead is truncate it and say, I'm going to accomplish these things by the end of the trimester. All right. And the reason we need to do this is to give ourselves some urgency, right? We're juggling so many things. Our time is limited, right? But goal setting, like, oh, okay, it's December. I'm in a good mood. I'm excited for this. So I'm going to pick this goal that I want to work on by the end of the year. By the time we get to February, you've forgotten about the goal, right? Or we don't have the urgency, or it's not there. So when you give yourself a trimester method, or even if you want to stick with our quarterly planning, you're giving yourself more urgency. We know that if you are in a time crunch, if you are having urgency, you're more likely to get things done. It's the same concept of I'm going to work on my goal at some point today versus how we time block. I'm going to work on my goal during this 15 minutes on a co-working session. That urgency gets us there. So we pick 12, and I'm going to say 12 to 16 because while I'm teaching the trimester method today, you can use this system if you want to stick with quarterly planning. I'm actually probably going to stick with quarterly planning for the rest of 2025. And then as we move into 2026, I'm going to start the trimester plan just because we're kind of already in it and I'm not prepared. So I want you to just think, you could think trimester, you could think quarters, all right? Yearly goal planning is overwhelming. Now we're going to yearly goal overarch plan. We always check back on our goals. We're still going to do those things. But when you take those goals and say, based on this thing I want to do, what do I want to do in the next 12 to 16 weeks? It is short enough time for you to actually focus, but long enough so you're going to actually see some progress. But it also gives you flexibility for what that specific 12 to 16 weeks looks like. If it's summer break, your goals are going to look different than if you're in the fall or if you're in the start of the year where you've got all the momentum and things like that. So I want you to think about when you're goal setting, how can I take these big goals that I have created, shrink them on down, and ask myself the question, what can I accomplish in the next 12 to 16 weeks? Now, the shift here allows us to focus on one season at a time. So when I'm talking trimesters, I'm talking about, and we're going to do dates. I have dates for you that we're going to look at in a second, but I'm talking about like that first season, January to summer break, right? That looks different than summer break. That looks different than school starting to the end of the year. All those things look different. And so because they look different, what you're doing is you're starting to focus on just one season at a time instead of I have 8,000 things. I want to complete them all by the end of the year, or I'm a massive failure. And then you quit by February and you forget what you said you're going to do. It hyper focuses you. It lets you have small steps forward and looking at the progress you're making instead of, oh, I'm not going to accomplish any of these goals for the year. Now, this was the big aha, moving from quarters over to trimesters. Okay. Now, I look at my mom's schedule very differently now than before I was a parent. Now, depending on your parenting journey at the moment, your life, you might want to stick with a quarter at a time. If you are someone who is giving yourself like a clear summer break, whether you're homeschooling, traditional schooling, whatever, whether your kids have flown the nest, like if you're like, I like to break it down like this, then follow the trimesters, right? Trimester one is that start of the year into summer break, right? And we get to that place. Trimester two is that summer break, and then trimester three is start of the school year to the holidays. And it really is a different vibe. The way I attack my goals, what I want to work on, those things differ based on where I'm at in the year. So I want you to start thinking about that mindset instead. Now, here's how it works. And here's where I've got some goals. We're gonna put these slides inside of the program. You can screenshot. This is what it's gonna look like, and it's a little bit different, okay? Trimester one is start of the school year till 14 days before or winter break. All right. I want you to start building in planning and reflection 14 days before the next trimester starts. Trimester two, right, is when school resumes till about 14 days until summer break. Trimester three is summer break until about 14 days before school starts. And I'm going to show you some examples here, okay? Oh, all right, we'll do that in a second then. Sorry, I was like, wait, I thought I was going to show you right now. Okay, we're gonna wait. Cara from a couple weeks ago who made these slides is like, no, we don't want to do this order. Now, here's the difference in this that I've not had in the program before. It's this planning and reflection periods. All right. Now, could we make your trimesters a little bit longer? Yes. But I'm actually going to encourage you to stop them 2 weeks before the actual trimester ends so that you can plan and reflect. When you are building in your calendar, and again, I'm going to start this for 2026, planning weeks, you are going to avoid the rush of, oh, crud, it's almost the end of summer break. I should be planning, right? You're going to give yourself time to reflect, reset, and refocus your goals. Hey, I said this goal was really important to me at the start of the year. I've since changed my mind, etc. You're going to set realistic and intentional goals based on where your life has been in that season, okay? And rest itself is productive. So instead of grinding the entire 12 weeks like we've been doing, I actually want you to take maybe grind, right? Work on those goals for 12 weeks and then take 2 to 4 weeks. You could take more time if you want. I leave two, but 2, 3 weeks to rest, to recharge, to reflect. This will have you actually understanding what you're working on. And this is what I want you to be doing during your planning week. All right. I want you to do our reflection process. Now, doesn't this look familiar? This is the same reflection and vision setting process that we teach at monthly planning. Reflect on it, celebrate. Let go of the goals for the next trimester that aren't working, okay? Set your vision, pick your goals, make your action plan, build your support, and then recharge. I always say, and I've been saying for years, you want to start your planning before you need it, right? So we always start our monthly planning a week before we need it. When you're doing your quarterly or your trimester planning, I want you to start multiple weeks before you need it so that you're ready to go. So now we're going to get into some specific plug and play dates. So here's what you're going to want to grab for yourself from the school calendar, or if you're homeschooling, however it looks like for you. All right. I went in and did this is my actual trimesters based on it. You need some anchor dates first. So if you don't want to do this now and you're like, all right, I like this concept, I'm going to think it through and then start it in, for January. You want to find your first day of school for the year, when your winter break starts, when school goes back, when summer break starts, and then the first day of school for the next year. So what I did was, and again, take a screenshot or write these down. Again, you'll get the slides will be in SOAR. You need these dates. In order to have these dates, grab them from the calendar so that you can plan out an appropriate trimester and you can plan out reflection, planning, rest, recharge as well. Okay. So once you have these dates, we're going to kind of put them in. So as I said, first day of school to winter breaks, right? Or 2 weeks before winter break, then you're going to have 2 weeks of planning. School to summer, 2 weeks of planning. Summer, first day of school, 2 weeks of planning. So I took those dates that I got from my kids' school calendar and I plugged them in for myself. And I really encourage you to plug them in for yourself for next school, starting next year, if you're going to do it like me and do it next year. So school started this year, August 25th, and it went, and then 2 weeks before winter break is December 7th for me. All right. So it's 2 weeks before winter break. So my plan this year that I'm going to do is from December 8th to December 23rd, which aligns beautifully because that's when we're doing our 2026 planning. I'm going to spend those 2 weeks in planning and reflection. All right. Then I'm going to give myself, 2 weeks off to recharge, rest, etc. Then I'm going to say my next trimester, January 5th to May 25th. That's 2 weeks before school ends. And I'm going to spend May 25th to June 15th planning out my summer. Trimester 3, summer will start June 15th. And then 2 weeks before school starts is August 10th. That'll be my shorter trimester. And then I will spend this time planning. Now, something I want you to note, there's a couple things. Trimester 3 is the shortest one for me. They don't have to be the same time. They don't have to always line up, okay? I'm doing it based on seasons. The other thing I want you to notice here how I have this, right, planning and reflection, right? And then winter break starts. And then I don't start trimester 2 for another 2 weeks. This was an intentional choice that I recommend you do as well, is you plan out for your third trimester and then you relax. You back up from the goals. You take a step out of it and say, all right, well, I know that I want to give myself time over the winter break. We at APDM, like we take off. We don't have calls. We actually rest and recharge so that we can all take time with our families. I am personally suggesting that you do your reflection. And again, you can spend time over the winter break fine tuning this, but it's important to step back. If you're constantly in go mode, plan reflection mode, right? You're going to just feel like you're always on. I think this is the best time of year to let yourself recharge. Not only is the winter like the best season for your body physically to recharge, it's actually super interesting that like our body prefers to like be in hibernation until spring. Spring is actually probably biologically the best time to create new goals because our body's meant to hibernate in the winter, so to speak. So I really recommend that you give yourself a little bit of a break. Well, Carrie, you didn't give yourself a break between the end of school and summer starting. I didn't, but that's because of the nature of the season. That's because summer looks a little bit different for me, right? If I was homeschooling year round, I might not give myself these specific breaks, or I might have a different break. So you can go ahead and adjust it how you want. So I'm going to go back just because I want to show you this one if you wanted to take a screenshot to set yours up. Again, giving yourself those 2 weeks in between winter break starting and winter break ending to just simply exist, to recharge, to have joy, to enjoy life. You can plan, you can get the things finished. That's totally fine. But I think it's important that you give yourself time to not think about your goals for a little bit. Now, listen, I'm going to have those 2 weeks be intentional. I'm still going to work on my morning routine, my evening routine. I got to keep my house cleaned, whatever. But because those 2 weeks tend to be so in flux, right? Like I'm here and then I'm here and then I'm here and then we're relaxing and then we're going to this thing and then we're traveling. I find it smarter to put less pressure on myself during that time and instead give myself actual time off. I don't give myself a lot of actual time off. And I think that if you're not doing that, no matter what your job is, you're going to burn out. So I just really suggest it. You don't have to. You can extend your first trimester. You can have it, bleed into this. I'll probably work on my planning like these days. And then I'll have some stuff maybe I want to finish up. So I might work on some planning here. All right. So it's all your choice. What I'd like you to do is create your own trimester schedule and then decide, do I want to use this trimester schedule for right now? Do I want to just try it and jump in and just make it shortened? Or do I want to wait and do it next year? And then put it in your calendar. So one of the things I went and I did in my other work calendar is I put these 2 weeks for 2026 and here inside my calendar so I know when I'm starting my planning for the next trimester. And then finish up any planning you have. It's September 12th today. Maybe you have some planning you want to get finished. Maybe you're like, oh, well, it's almost October, all these things. What planning do you need to do to be able to move forward? I've kind of identified that I'm going to follow the quarter system until December 8th, and then I'm going to kind of just like take that time period, end it, and move it on. What do you want it to look like for you? So moving into the end of the year, moving into next year, I just want you to think, what system do you want to follow? Do you like, because some of you might prefer quarters. I've just found after doing this for a few years, I think I prefer trimesters better. So do you like quarters? Do you want to do trimesters? What questions do you have? And see how, again, there's no right or wrong, there's no black or white, but what from this can you take to add and be a different tool inside of your toolbox to help you when it comes to planning?